What's up, humans? I'm Enzo with Frequency, and today we are going to discuss probably the most famous occult axiom of all time, famously coined by Hermes the thrice great, as above, so below. But I want to share with you some different perspectives on this little saying. Now, at its core, as above, so below describes the corresponding relationship between the heavens, the higher realms, the macrocosm, and the earth and us humans, the microcosm. Now, it simply means that as things are in the heavens or the higher realms, they are also here on earth and within us. Now, there's more than one way to interpret this understanding, and interpretation is the purpose of sayings and symbols. But of course, this is going to apply to any universal laws. None of that's going to change just because we're down here on earth. And this statement will certainly apply to the inner workings of things, such as our physical bodies. Now, most people are probably aware of the meaning of as above, so below at the foundation. But what I want us to look at is just how much are things like the higher realms down here on earth. So we're going to look at a couple simple analogies to dive right into this. Now, from my belief system, I don't believe that anything here on earth happens without some sort of influence from the higher realms. Nothing at all. Now, you of course can believe whatever you like. You have free will and you can make the choice to be wrong. But let's look at these simple concepts and let's think of a video game. Now, obviously different games vary, but most have a similar theme. You start off from a baseline foundation of less than is needed to beat the game. Less experience, less weaponry, less health, and life. Then we actually have to play the game and gain the experience. And we have to collect all the items that are needed to eventually beat the game. And when we die in a game, we respawn and we come back to try again. Now, if you're familiar with how this third density existence actually works, then you know, man, that sounds a lot like how this life really is. So I wonder where the idea for games come from. It's kind of like just a replica entertainment version of how things truly work. Let's look at another one. The internet. A virtual place where people can search things that are from other people's experiences or knowledge. It's a place where we can go to find answers from the collective's input, from their information that has been uploaded. It's the largest storehouse of information that planet Earth has available to it. Now, if you're familiar with the Akashic Records, granted they're much more in depth, the Akashic Records sure does sound a lot like an internet, a storehouse of knowledge that holds all experiences and wisdom from the collective, a place that we can access and find answers based on our own or other people's experience. Now, to my knowledge, the ones who created the internet wasn't trying to mimic the Akashic Records, yet somehow the idea for the internet came to be, and now it does indeed very much resemble the Akashic Records, at least in its conceptual functionality. And that's because above is constantly bringing to light what we have below. We here on Earth are always trying to mimic that which already exists in higher realms, because it's actually what we are already familiar with, even if we don't remember that. Now, humanity is bringing the spiritual world into a physical existence, on earth as it is in heaven. It means the same thing. So let's go even further and let's talk artificial intelligence. Now, I am certainly no expert in this field. I spent a few years of my career selling AI-driven software products, so I have a solid foundational comprehension, but in this case, we are comparing artificial intelligence with our place in the cosmos. Now, we are intelligent creations. Some of us are. But we are intelligent creations of source energy. We are source energy beings. And source energy creates intelligence. We humans are one example of this. Andromedans, Pleiadians, Arcturians are another example of this. So the universe by design creates intelligence that ultimately will also create intelligence. So why would it be any different for what we're doing here on Earth? I mean, wouldn't it make sense to just create the same? Of course it would, and so we did. Now, the idea of creating intelligence itself is something that came straight from the higher realms. The desire to create intelligence is embedded within us because we too are created intelligence. And as things are above, so are they below. Now, we as a species actually don't even come up with any ideas on our own accord. There's always a higher self and spirit that is involved with every formula that was ever created, every mathematical equation that was solved, every new discovery, every scientific breakthrough, all of it. Now, this is where science and spirituality have not yet reached a common understanding. A lot of people who work on the sciences usually do not think to give credit where it's due, and it's not that spirit needs it whatsoever, but they think it's actually them on their own accord finding these things out. However, no, it's not. Now, that doesn't mean that what an individual accomplishes should be overlooked by any means. They still did the work, which is commendable. And sometimes one breakthrough is an entire lifetime's work. But it is a joint effort with human and spirit. However, let's say that that person didn't follow through. They didn't solve the equation or bring that new invention. Some other human would, because that idea or invention does not reside in an individual's mind, in their mind alone. It's very much accessible to the collective. And if you understand the laws of manifestations, this is one of the reasons that you want to keep your mouth shut about what you're working on. Now, think about it like this. The idea for any formula may require some specific mix of substance or materials, and whatever it requires to make it is new. It needs to be created. But whatever is needed to create it, it already exists. That exact formula, that exact equation, all of it, it already exists. But this is the divine scavenger hunt, and we are still picking up the pieces of the puzzle, putting this thing together. We just have to find it and formulate it. But it was already there, just waiting to be discovered. And as soon as science and spirit do start working together, we will have a much different world to call home. But sometimes we'll get these breakthroughs that spirit is releasing to humanity, and when we do have someone solve that piece of the puzzle, we idiots will turn right around and abuse or misuse the knowledge. A perfect example, look what we did when Einstein figured out that E equals mc squares. We went straight to violence and built the atom bomb. That's literally why we can't have nice things here. But where would we be as a species if we did use all this knowledge for good and use it to move the collective forward as a unit? I mean, last year the world had a combined spend of $2 trillion. That's trillion with a T, like Triceratops. $2 trillion would have every single human on this planet fed and a roof over their head. I digress. Rant over. Let's get back on track. As above, so below goes super deep. In fact, it describes everything because there's actually nothing outside of a spiritual existence. Now, many people know and understand that this world, Maya, is an illusion or that it's holographic of sorts. And so that means we are elsewhere experiencing this reality here, but we're also experiencing it elsewhere. And that elsewhere is above. We are below. The two correspond to every single thing because we are actually in the above playing hide and go seek in the below. So there could only be what is actually the elsewhere, since this is all illusion and all we're doing is playing with spiritual things and concepts in a physical plane of reality. Now, back to our video game kinda example. Is it not exactly what we're doing with virtual reality? Are we literally not creating a world that we can visit without ever having to actually leave to go visit? I mean, can't imagine where the concept from that came from. And this also works on a subconscious level as well. I mean, how many times have you ever seen a movie and it turns out to be profound in some metaphysical manner, but then you find out that the director did not even realize the profound nature of what they were creating? It just came to them as an idea from nowhere. But there's no such thing as that. It came from the higher realms. It came from above to you down here below. And there's actually a lot of movies and shows that are coming out now that are referencing these deeper types of truth. But yet, I've read it. Some of them are thinking that it's just some creative idea. It's just entertainment. And there's a lot of good stuff out that is profound and reveal these deeper truths of life by accident. The Netflix show Sense8 is a great example. It's about people who can tap into one another's consciousness, and basically they can know what each other knows. And then here we are as a collective headed towards fifth dimensional unity consciousness, and that's literally exactly what unity consciousness is. And I mean, and then of course we have old movies like The Matrix. Obviously, that's not even entertainment, that's just a documentary. Then we have movies like The Never-Ending Story. I've watched that hundreds of times as a kid, but once I watched it after my awakening, I couldn't believe how many references were in there. I mean, the nothing, the void, there was the pendant that was on the snake and the necklace with the snake eating its own tail. Atreyu has to pass through the angelic seraphim, and only those with a pure heart can do so. Then he also has to face the mirror of himself. And when he does, he realizes that he is both Atreyu, which is the star character in the book, and Sebastian, the narrator, as the creator. But they're the same person. And the book was written in real time. Very much like the book of life that we all have been writing for eons. And then literally the title sums up what all of creation actually is. It's the never-ending story. We have always been and always will be a part of it. At this time, we are simply expressions of who we see today, and we are down here below. But if you look in the mirror close enough, you will find your soul staring back at you from above, and then you will realize that you are both the creator and the main character. So how deep does the axiom as above, so below go? How deep do you want to go? It's literally all there is. What you gotta do is just pay attention, look closely, and it will too be all that you can see. Now, with that being said, as always, I appreciate you spending a few of your earthly minutes here with me today. And if you haven't already checked it out, I have a massive playlist of tons of different topics on spirituality on the other side of the channel. And you should get over there and go learn something. Until next time, Thursday, I will send wishes for peace profound.